Well, what is going on, Bills Mafia? Welcome, Bills Mafia, into the Overreaction Sports Podcast, brought to you by the Market Dominator on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network. I'm your host, the voice of the Overreaction Sports Podcast. My name is Joe Miller, and as always, you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. And I know a lot of you still don't know who the Market Dominator is, and if this is the first time you've ever tuned in, let me just tell you who he is. The Market Dominator is my very good friend, John Spaschek, and there was a number of you that got to meet him on Friday night at O'Neill's as I recorded a podcast live in person with the Rock Power Report guys, and more about that in a minute. But John is a real dude. He's an awesome dude. He is a real estate broker with Keller Williams. Keller Williams, by the way, I say this every week, is the largest real estate brokerage firm in the entire world, and John is pretty much in the top 5 to 10 real estate brokers in Western New York, pretty much month over month. And oh, by the way, he can help you if you're actually not in Western New York as well. So if you are looking to buy a house or you're looking to sell a house, I could give you, if you needed testimonials, I could talk about my own sale. In this market is absolutely insane. If you know somebody that's bought or sold a home, ask them how happy they are with their agent. It's going to vary. This is what I can tell you. When you walk away from whatever the dealing is that you do with John Spaschek, the Market Dominator, and his team, you are going to be overwhelmingly happy. Do me a favor. The brother answers his phone. Call him, 716-570-3298. That number again, 716-570-3298. You can also email him. I would suggest you call him, but his email address is yourelitebroker@gmail.com. He is also Bills Mafia, so you can find him on Twitter at Your Elite Broker. That is my guy, John Spaschek, the Market Dominator, who is a wonderful man and a wonderful sponsor of this show. Love you, John. Appreciate you, fella. And just appreciate the friendship and appreciate the connection to the team here at the Overreaction Show and Buffalo Rumblings. But ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to the Overreaction Sports Podcast. And I got all kinds of people up in here. Like the comment section, the room is filling up. Got a whole bunch of people. The Buffalo Bills fever is upon us. You are listening to me, whether it's live and in person on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, or you are catching this as a podcast on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network. This is what I want to say to you. Whether this podcast finds you around a cup of coffee on the drive to work or at the gym with your AirPods in, or maybe even live right now on YouTube, let me just say one more time, welcome. I wonder how many of you are now at the point where you just like hit that plus 15 seconds, like where you just skip through that whole thing up until I say live on YouTube right now. Let me just say welcome just to get past all that rigmarole. Please don't. The top of the show was kind of fun for me, but it's so good to see all of you guys. The King is in the house. Jay Spence the King, Richard Rush, Robbie's in the house, David Ruseman's in the house, Chris Jenke's in the house. Everybody's up in here. I saw Amanda Davey in the house. EB is in the house. Everybody's piling into the chat room, and I just appreciate and love all of you that you've got the time to spend with me for this live recording of the show. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to like and subscribe. So first things first, jump on that like button, smash the like button for this show, whatever platform you're on, including a podcast form. And do me also another favor. Our subscription numbers on YouTube have been blowing up. We've gone up about 400 subscribers, 300 subscribers in the last about 2 weeks. If you have not yet subscribed to the Buffalo Rumblings YouTube channel, please subscribe now. If you're listening to this in post, pause it, jump over to YouTube. Actually, you probably don't have to. Just jump over to YouTube. Google search, or I should say YouTube search Buffalo Rumblings, subscribe it, hit the little bell so you get all the notifications. We got a lot of big stuff coming up for you this football season, and it's going to be great. Here's another cool piece of news. We are now Super Chat Live. We are Super Chat Live, and there's a whole host of people that don't know what that even means. Super Chat Live means that if you are on the YouTube platform, you can basically hit a Super Chat, put some information in there, and your chat, comment, question, whatever it is, your correspondence to me is going to come up in a neon color, and Super Chats get priority. Now, here's the thing. You can only Super Chat me if you're on YouTube. So if you're watching me on Facebook, if you're watching me on Twitter, jump over to YouTube. That is where you want to be. That's actually where the best conversation is as well. Apex is in the room. I see Brooke is in the room. NYAP is in the room. Everybody, my sister Jamie is up in the room. She just left to go back to Ohio. She spent the weekend with me. She was just here, but we are now Super Chat Live. Here's the other thing. If you Super Chat me, this is a podcast. I am recording a podcast that is meant for listeners, but I'm doing it live, and you guys get to watch me do it. Please, if you Super Chat me, stay inside the topic or inside the segment. So if I'm talking about, Josh Allen's cap number or Josh Allen's new contract, don't ask me questions about the punter. Like, don't get me off track. So try to stay inside. So if you've got a question, Super Chat me. I'm going to read it. I'm going to respond to it, but try to stay somewhat inside of where we're at inside the segment. I will get to it. I may have to wait if I look at it and read it and I feel like it doesn't necessarily fit, but we are Super Chat Live and would love to have you guys jump in with me. So I went to the open practice on Saturday, training camp open practice with my daughter McKenna. The Market Dominator was with me. I sat with Pat Moran, and I sat with Zach the Maniac from Trainwreck Sports. We all sat together. More on those observations later. The next open practice is September 1st. I think the number I heard was 18,000 fans were actually in the stadium, which is unbelievable. 18,000, especially if you saw the picture of the Jacksonville Jaguars open practice today. The picture came out today. I don't know when open practice was, but there was about 17 people in the stadium. It was pretty crazy. And somehow Forbes has Jacksonville listed as a more valuable franchise than the Buffalo Bills. I would think that the people that want to buy your product has something to do with how valuable you potentially are to a buyer. And nobody wants any of that trash in Jacksonville, even with ETN, even with Trevor Lawrence down there as rookies. Nobody wanted any of that garbage. But so I went to the practice. The next practice, September 1st, McKenna and I will also be in attendance there. Let me tell you, it was stinking hot, dude. It was 10 o'clock in the morning. We got in the stadium about 9:15, 9:10, and I about melted. It was hot. Like I was sweating through my clothes. Everybody was sweating through their clothes. It was Arizona hot up here in Buffalo. It was crazy hot, but would love to see you. If I've not met you in person, do me a favor, September 1st, let's find some way to connect at the next practice, or obviously during the home opener. But I talked a second ago about the fact that I had recorded a live podcast in person at O'Neill's on Saturday night with the Rock Pile Report guys, and what a blast that was. That pod is going to drop Sunday night, so you should be able to get it Monday or Tuesday. Go find it. Me, the Rock Pile dudes, Pat Moran, and a special appearance from John Fina, everybody's favorite follow on Twitter, John Fina. It's a long podcast. I think it was an hour and 40 minutes. It was the longest podcast I've ever been a part of, but it's a good time. It was a lot of fun. At that event, it was live. We actually recorded it, like I said, at O'Neill's across from the stadium, and Bill's Mafia was in the house. I got to meet Kristen from Bill's Mafia Babes. Crystal Noel was there. Leslie, co-founder of the Bill's Mafia, was there, along with a host of other folks. And what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention to Twitter and just social media, because we're going to do more of these things. I know that the Rock Pile guys want to do more of these. Jay Spence and I want to do more of these types of things. These things are going to start popping up more and more. You're going to see a lot of people doing these live things. Also, one last thing about that. I said that I was going to give away tickets during that recording, and I did. Tickets that were given to me for the preseason game from my buddy Dana Billings. And those tickets were won by Ali Ozcock, I believe is his last name, or Ozcoke. He won those tickets. I've already notified him, so congratulations, Ali. Good job. Hope you enjoy the game. The Bills' first preseason game is next freaking week. Can I get an amen? The Bills' first preseason game is next week, Friday, August 13th, 7 p.m. live in Detroit, live on the NFL Network. Bills at the Bears, second preseason game, August 21st. And then a rare Saturday, 1 p.m. game. And then we have another 1 p.m. game, which makes it less rare, I guess, on the 28th against the Packers at home, the only home one. One more last piece of house cleaning, if you will. The week of the home opener, there is a party at Soho being hosted by Cold Front Report. It's basically the Mafia homecoming party. You want to be a part of that. Jay Spencer King and I are going to be there. The Bills Mafia Babes, I think, are going to be there. Or no, I'm sorry, that's the skate party. And then the next day, Saturday, is the skate party, which is hosted by Jay Spencer King, Bills Mafia Babes, Poncho's Army, and that is solely for charity. So two very cool things. Jay Spencer King and I might be working on something for Thursday night. More of that to come. The skating party, however, as I'm all over the place a little bit, is at Frank Young's Sports Arena. $15. All that money is going to charity, 4 to 7 p.m. So you are listening to the Overreaction Sports Podcast. And I guess the question that I want to pose to everybody everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching, is how much are you overreacting to this Josh Allen extension? How much? How much are you overreacting to this Josh Allen extension? We knew it was inevitable. And there were people that were arguably on every side of the proverbial fence, and there's not really fences to be on the side of because we all wanted it to happen. Except for maybe a couple Tyrod Taylor fans that are out there. We all wanted it to happen, but the reality is when was it going to happen? There was people in the camp of do it now. I was in this camp, do it now. He just becomes more expensive with every day that passes. We definitely don't want to do it next year. There's people that felt like, and rightfully so, Bruce Nolan is one of those guys. Love Bruce. Bruce is a very good friend of mine. Bruce is one of those guys that's like, you know what, every time we have seen in the recent future of the NFL that a team gives a monstrous contract to what is arguably or inevitably a one-year wonder. Basically, we've only got 1 year of good, solid history from a guy. What happens is they tend to fall flat, fall on their face. Carson Wentz, right? Guys like that. But these numbers, man, holy cow. We knew. I mean, Jay Spence, the King, and I were talking. We've talked about it several times in this offseason about how big this number was going to be. I think I've talked about it with Bruce Nolan, how big these numbers were going to be. And the reality is when you don't think it's going to be $42 million a year until it comes out at $42 million a year. I did peg the number. I said it was going to be 6 years. There was a lot of people on the 4-year fence. I thought 8 was too long. Some people were on the 8-year fence, kind of like modeled after Patrick Mahomes, that he wasn't going to go anywhere. I felt it was going to be in the 6-year land, but it's 6 years kind of. And this is, if you've not really gotten details for this thing yet, if you haven't read up on it yet, I'm going to give you a little bit. It's a 6-year extension off of the current contract he has, which has actually 2 more years on it. 6 years, $258 million. It adds, as I just said, 6 years to his contract. He's got $150 million guaranteed, 100 of that guaranteed at signing. $150 million guaranteed, which makes him the second highest paid player in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes and the first player ever with $150 million guaranteed to him. So he has one of the firsts and he's second in the other land. Highest, most guaranteed money to any NFL player ever in the history of the NFL. And he's the second highest player. That contract total with the existing 2 that he has, because he still has this year to play. He's got 2022 to play on his rookie deal because the Bills, as you know, picked up his 5th-year option. That puts that total contract, basically extension that he has with these 2 years and the 6 at $290 million for all 8 years, and it puts him here through 2028. Man. I could shed a tear. I'm not going to cry. But good, I could literally shed a tear. I mean, when you think about what we've been through as a franchise, when you think about what we've been through as fans, the quarterback carousel from Todd Collins and Alex Van Pelt and Drew Bledsoe, and I don't know, there was guys in between them, and and then you bring in JP Losman and Kelly Holcomb, and just Kyle Orton. Thad Lewis, Tyrod Taylor. I mean, the list is long and distinguished of guys that we, as Bills Mafia, argued a lot about. I think the greatest war ever in Bills Mafia, and it played out on the Buffalo Bills message board, which is no more, rest in peace, was probably over Kelly Holcomb and JP Losman and what camp you were in. I'm sorry, not Kelly, Trent Edwards and JP Losman or whatever it was. But the amount of arguing and fighting and what camp you were in and the way that it went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. 17 years. And then even on draft night, and we talked about this on Saturday with the Rockpile guys, even on draft night, I remember sitting there. Drew was in that camp. Everybody at the table, Pat Moran, Chris, the only guy that wasn't was John Fina. We all wanted Josh Rosen. Somebody put Jeff Toole. Yeah, Toole time. Exactly. Nate Peterman, right? We all wanted Josh Rosen because we knew we couldn't get Baker. We knew we couldn't get Darnold. And what it came down to is I have suffered through this for 17 years. The last thing that I want to do is wait 3 more for a kid that's got to develop. And what's funny is, like, when you, in hindsight, when you think about those moments as far as what you're looking for in a draft pick out of a quarterback, you want to win now. You want to win right now. You don't want to wait. You're not thinking about character. You're not thinking about fit with the team. You're not thinking about fit with the city. You're not thinking about, is he a nice guy? Does he love his mom? Does he love his dad? Is he passionate? Is he a gamer? I'll be honest with you. For me, when I was going Josh Rosen over Josh Allen, I literally read the stupid draft stuff that we all read. Josh Rosen was ready to play right now. Josh Allen, they said, wasn't. I didn't want to wait a year. I'm not the only one. Vlad Ostrov says that he was screaming for Josh Allen on draft day, screaming. Vlad, I'm proud of you, bro, because you got it right. And Matthew Ronkowski says the same thing, that he was also screaming for Josh Allen. John Fina was also screaming for Josh Allen. And word has now come out as well, after seemingly this contract has been signed, that the Buffalo Bills apparently tried to move to first overall with the Browns to get him. I wonder, not right now. Hindsight is 2020. If the Bills had successfully moved up with the Browns to get Josh Allen, they also tried when the Browns said no. They also tried to move to 2, but the Giants were sold on Saquon Barkley, wanted him. We all know the Bills moved up to 7. I wonder now, had the Buffalo Bills moved to number 1, who knows what it would have taken? It would have been a bevy of picks, maybe some players, multiple first rounders. If they had moved up to number 1 to get Josh Allen, how much more pressure there would have been? How many of you that wanted him would have been like, yes, we got our guy? I don't buy it. You'd have been like, I wanted Josh Allen, but not at that price. Right? Hindsight is 2020. And when you think hindsight being 2020, I have never been more happy, glad, excited to be wrong ever in my entire life. And I'm wrong a lot. I'm wrong often. Ask Chris Jenke. He'll tell you how often I'm wrong. What does it mean? What does it mean to us as Bills Mafia to have this kid? This kid that's got, if you want to articulate or paint a picture of a human being that has Buffalo written on his soul, it's Josh Allen. This kid came from nothing, was expected to do nothing, was unwanted. Nobody wanted to be near him. Nobody wanted to be around him. People didn't want to necessarily claim him. Even when he was from high school, you're talking about a kid that in high school went to Derek Carr's quarterback camp, and he was a big Derek Carr fan, and he got put off to the side with the kids that probably didn't have any potential to going on to college and doing anything, and goes to JUCO. Then from JUCO to major college, for his junior, senior year, nobody wants him but one school. Then coming out to the NFL, the only guy that had his back was Mel Kiper. Even Bills Mafia didn't want him. I remember people wanting Mason Rudolph over Josh Allen. Hindsight is 2020 for sure. Look at his first year. Look at his second year. How I don't need to remind you. I've talked about it a lot on this show. Before the 2020 season, before last year, his breakout season, Aaron Schatz from Pro Football Outsiders said that the Buffalo Bills were, and I quote, were a Super Bowl caliber roster except for Josh Allen. Aaron Schatz said on a local radio station that he had run 1,000 simulations, none of which ever had the Bills even making the playoffs with Josh Allen. It may have been 2019. I don't remember. But regardless, he was basically saying that the biggest hole in his football team is Josh Allen. And now you're looking at a guy that's basically the entire football team. We heard conversations as well that Josh Allen may never be, quote unquote, may never be a 60% guy. And then he answered the bell by basically going from 58 or 59% in 2019 to 69.5% completion percentage in 2020. But what does it mean? What does it mean? The first thing that it means is security. We are secure at the most important position in the NFL on any NFL franchise, any NFL team. We don't have to worry every single year who's going to be the guy or what's the competition going to be like, or can the guy be top 15? Can he maybe be top 10? We have the trust and security of knowing as fans that we've got a guy out there that loves this town as much as we do, loves this city as much as we do. We have a guy that's quarterbacking the lifeblood of our city in a football team that wants to be here as much as we want to be here. A guy that stands at podiums in New Jersey after football games and says, hey, there's only one New York team. There's only one team that plays in New York, or, hey, I play for a New York team. Josh Allen is a California kid who we have all, probably as Bills fans, loathed in the past because of what they potentially represent or how they feel or what they think or how stark of a contrast California is, at least in our own minds, to Buffalo. Because the reality is yes, Buffalo, or I should say New York, is a blue state and California is a blue state, but Buffalo is a very different place, and we all know it because we're all from here, or at least the majority of us are from here. We don't, Buffalonians, Western New Yorkers, sons and daughters of Buffalo, don't think of ourselves as New Yorkers like, oh, yeah, New York City people, yeah, we're just like them. Oh, California people, we're just like them. Those Hollywood people, just like them. San Francisco, yep, that's exactly what we're like. No, we're different. We're very different. We persevere. We try. We don't take no for an answer. We push and push and push, and sometimes have to kick doors down and kick doors open for ourselves. We will be damned if we're ever going to be told no. And when you count us out the most, it's when we rise to the top the best. And does that not just sound completely like the quarterback that just signed a $300 million contract to be here through 2028? Security. It brings consistency. It brings leadership. This kid is we have wanted a leader on this football team from the quarterback position since Jim Kelly left. Drew was kind of that guy. Kyle Orton kind of gave it to us, but outside of that, there was really nobody else. Tyrod was great. Tyrod had a great command of the offense, but I don't know that I ever believed that every single player on the football team was behind any quarterback that was on this team since Jim Kelly like they are Josh Allen. The leadership piece, the continuity piece. I'm going to warn everybody when it comes to continuity. My next comment on my notes is the word growth. What's up, Daniel Gowris? Just got here. Good to see you. Jump on that like button, brother. Continuity and growth. Just because your quarterback signs a $42 million a year contract, which, oh, by the way, won't kick in until 2023, it doesn't mean that he's not going to throw 3 interceptions and a half. It doesn't mean that he's not going to fumble the football away. It doesn't mean that he's not going to have bad football games. Josh Allen, and we have well established on the Buffalo Rumblings network that if we get the 2020 version of Josh Allen forever, the future is bright for the Buffalo Bills. We don't necessarily need him to get any better. We don't need him to take any more steps. We don't need him to continue progressing. Would we like it? Sure. Do we believe he can? Yes. Does this team need it? No. They just don't need it. What we need is for him to just basically find his floor every season. And we as Bills fans not need to do things that I've already seen today, which was in camp on Saturday. There was an interception, and an amazing interception was made by Micah Hyde on Stephon Diggs. Josh Allen throws a ball to Stephon Diggs, I believe, two of the best in the game last year, and Micah Hyde makes an incredibly athletic play on that and gets an interception. And some moron in the comments section is asked the question, where is Trubisky? Already it's begun. So if you can hear my voice, if you are a fan of this show, if you like the things that I say, I would just caution you to be careful. Understand that bad games are going to come. Interceptions are going to be thrown. That's what quarterbacks do. Running backs fumble. Quarterbacks throw interceptions. He's going to win a lot of football games. He's going to lose some too. And what I would charge you with, as I move on from Josh Allen, what I would charge you with is the same thing that I would charge everybody with. And what I would ask you to charge naysayers and doubters and people that don't like this kid, what you would charge them with. Enjoy the journey. Just enjoy the journey. When he throws a touchdown, lose your mind. Enjoy the journey. When he throws for 400 yards, lose your mind. Enjoy the journey. When he throws 3 interceptions in a football game, back him up, have his back, love him, support him, and enjoy the journey. When he throws a game-losing interception or fumbles the ball at the last minute, when finally he throws an interception inside the red zone, because if we remember, he still has not done that in the regular season. When that happens, enjoy the journey, because what I did and what so many Bills fans did when Jim Kelly was leading this franchise is we didn't enjoy the journey. And then it was over. And then we waited almost 2 decades to find the next guy. But this kid is Buffalo. This kid is Buffalo, fam. He is Buffalo. I want to bring to your attention, Brian Daboll was, and I don't even know how to necessarily set this up, because it's a coach moment with the team, and we're not privy to a lot of this information. It was funny because on Saturday at O'Neill's with John Fina, John was like, when we get to work and we do the thing and then the players do this, and I stopped him and I was like, no, bro, we don't know this stuff. We've never been NFL players. We have no idea what you're talking about. We don't know what goes on inside an NFL locker room. But bringing everybody back to what Josh Allen is and how he connects and relates to everybody else and what that story is. And I saw a couple tweets today as well that the greatest 30 for 30 or NFL life story that is ever going to be told is Josh Allen's. And it's probably going to be true because nobody wanted this kid. And it's only fitting that he ended up in Buffalo, the city that nobody wants to be in. But there was an article today. I don't know where the article was. I don't have the reference. I just saw it on Twitter. It says an example of how the coaches are delivering that message, the message of just the team. Offensive coordinator Brian Daboll, in a meeting earlier in camps, asked every offensive player and coach to stand up. Hey, everybody, if you're on the offense, coaching, staff, player, stand up. He then said to them, Brian Daboll did, if you're a coach and you've ever been fired, please sit down. Daboll said, and every coach in the room sat down. Every single coach in the room sat down. Okay, Daboll continued, if you're a player and you've ever been cut or traded, sit down. And a large group of the players sat down. And then Daboll continued, and he said, if you weren't picked in the first round, please sit down, Daboll said. And suddenly the only person left in the room was Josh Allen standing up. The only other first rounder on Buffalo's offense is a backup quarterback named Mitchell Trubisky, who, by the way, got fired. He didn't get cut, but they didn't want him anymore. Who sat down with the cut or traded or unwanted group. Even though he technically wasn't cut or traded by the Bears, he just wasn't re-signed. Brian Dable looked at Josh and he said, "How many scholarship offers did you get out of high school, Josh?" Josh Allen replied, "None." "All right," Dable said. "Let's all remember where we came from." And that just solidifies the whole entire situation. Every single thing that you need to know, understand about this football team, about Josh Allen, about where they're coming from is exactly that. And I love this. The first super chat that Buffalo Rumblings has ever gotten is from my man Apex. This is the very first super chat. Apex comes back in and he says, "Wildest Dreams Land for 8 more years." It's what it is, Bills fans. This story, what's going on with Josh Allen, what we're living out, everything that we're talking about is literally the definition of Wildest Dreams Land. When you think about it, in 2018, Josh Allen's going to be a potential MVP player. Oh, not in your wildest dreams. Josh Allen's going to sweep the AFC East in a couple of years. Oh, you're out of your mind. Not in your wildest dreams. The Buffalo Bills behind Josh Allen are going to make the AFC Championship. Not in your wildest dreams. Oh, yeah, well, the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen, he's going to have like almost a 70% completion percentage. Oh, my God, dude. Not in your Bills fan. You're crazy. Sit down. Not in your wildest dreams. Do you get it now? All of 2020, I said wildest dreams land. Hashtag wildest dreams land. That is what we're living in. And I'm super duper excited to like have a conversation going into 2021. I was just talking to Jay Spence the King about 2 hours ago that I think I'm going to get to carry this phrase, hashtag wildest dreams land, maybe make a t-shirt. Wildest dreams land. Because that's the season. That's where we're at. Cherish every single second. Cherish every single second. And know at the very same time that this coaching staff is doing all the right things and saying all the right things to connect them to connect their players to, I should say, their $300 million quarterback. By having conversations with them like the Brian Daboll story. Hey, everybody in this room, I know that guy. He didn't say it this way. I know that guy standing over there or sitting over there just signed a contract to make $42 million a year, which is money that 90% of you are never going to see, or probably none of you are going to see. But we're going to go through an exercise right now, and I'm going to show you that he is just like you. What do you mean, coach? How's he just like me? That dude just signed a $300 million quarterback. Yeah, well, 5 years ago, nobody wanted him. 6 years ago, nobody wanted him. You can have that same story. You can be that guy. You can be that guy. Right? I'm going to transition now that I've got you all emotional. maybe not. Who knows? I'm going to transition you now over to what I observed at practice in my practice notes. Now, if you want to ask me questions about practice, please feel free to do so. I cannot guarantee you that I can see the practice notes or the comments, rather, I should say, that you're going to ask me in the comment section. But if you want to get my attention, super chat, whatever you got to do, get it in there. I don't know why I'm being told Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls, Joe, Niagara Falls. I don't know what that means. Did I miss something somewhere up in here? I don't know. Anyway, but I watched... Oh, Niagara Falls emotion. My bad. Got it now. My fault. Appreciate that. That's it. I will take that as a compliment all day long. I went to the practice on Saturday as a fan. So I did not take notes. I did not try to remember everything. I watched things that were important to me, things that I think I saw, things that I felt I saw. I did, mark in my brain some things that kind of stuck out to me. I have listened and watched several other people that were there, Matt Perino, Ryan Talbot, people like that, just to kind of get what their feelings were for how practice went. Again, if you have a question, I'll do my best to respond to you. The easiest thing to do, again, is going to be to super chat me, just because it's going to get my attention, and the comment sections have a tendency to roll by pretty quick. So yeah, let's do that. So first things first about practice on Saturday. We're always told that the defense is usually, right? That's weird. Always told that usually. We're told that the defense is usually ahead of the offense. That's me not speaking good English. In the run game, I would say that is true. In the passing game with Josh Allen, particularly this season right now, absolutely not. The dude is at the point, even now, a couple weeks into camp, second open practice, which was a scrimmage, he's pretty much taking what he wants at will. Think about what I just said. Josh Allen is pretty much taking what he wants at will. I would say it this way. It very much appeared to me, or seemed like, Josh Allen was pretty much ruining what the coaches wanted to do, kind of because they set them up in situations, right? They set them up in different. We all know how training camp goes. The majority of us have gone or we've watched. They do a lot of positional stuff. They do a lot of situational stuff. And Josh Allen was basically just running them down the field and scoring over and over and over again. He did this also without Emmanuel Sanders and without Cole Beasley. He also didn't have Deion Dawkins and Darrell Williams, and he was still breaking the pocket, getting open, throwing guys open, and basically completing balls all over the place. It was incredibly impressive to watch. AK Cash asks, who got the most first team right tackle reps? At right tackle, I believe it was either Doyle or the new kid Spencer Brown. First team right tackle. Because Darrell Williams wasn't there, and he played admirably. And when he didn't, Josh Allen was breaking free and getting loose. Thank you, AK Cash, for that super chat, by the way. He was getting loose and he was completing passes. He was throwing darts. I dare say surgical. He was throwing lasers all over the field. It was unbelievable to watch. He was making that defense almost look like they weren't on the football field. And the funny thing is like the energy level between the two was unbelievable. So it wasn't like Josh Allen was just trucking people. The defense was coming with energy. The defense was trying to do their thing. They were being borderline successful. Josh Allen was just doing what Josh Allen does and getting away. Jeff King with the super chat. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you being a part of the show. Fact or fiction? Obata is lighting it up in practice. If so, and if it continues, what is your take on who we're saying goodbye to? Dude, this is tough. Jeff, thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you for coming in and super chatting, man. And thank you for this question. F.A. Obata looked good. Greg Rousseau looked good. Carlos Basham looked good. A.J. Epinesa looked good. Mario Addison looked good. None of them looked bad. None of them looked bad. F.A. Obata, in my opinion, Jeff, to answer your question, makes this football team. But we're going to talk about, in a second, cut down dates. The dates I got from Greg Thompson off of Twitter today. And we're going to talk about the fact that the Buffalo Bills, briefly, we're going to talk about they're going to have a very, 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 very difficult time with numbers at a couple key positions, and one of them is defensive line. They're going to have a tough choice to make. And we talked on Wednesday, Jay Spencer King and I did, just about the fact that Mario Addison had a phenomenal interview, of which he spent 5 to 10 minutes pining on and on about F.A. Obata, about Greg Rousseau, about Carlos Basham, about A.J. Epinesa, talking about how great they were and how great they're going to be. And it's like, bro, I'm enjoying what you're saying. It's everything that I want to hear. But if you don't stop, you're going to talk yourself off of this football team. They look good, man. I believe F.A. Obata makes this football team. He is lighting it up in practice. The length and the speed and the quickness that the Bills have gone and got between Rousseau and Obata is incredible. And oh, by the way, Jerry Hughes still has yet to play a snap in preseason. Oops, 2 seconds. Brian Bowers with the super chat. Okay, voice. How are the receivers not in our top 4 or 5 looking? Who is making the talented team at wide receiver? So these were and you're getting ahead of me, but that's totally good, Brian. I appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you being a part of the show. You're the man. And I highly expect and anticipate you to be on with me for the Bills Mafia Time to Shine pregame shows every Saturday night before the game when the season starts. The wide receivers. So this is what I've got as far as wide receivers go. So Emmanuel Sanders, as I told you, was not on the field. Beasley, and by the way, can I just stop right here? Cole Beasley's running around the football field, ball of energy, little short 5'8" dude, ball energy. Right? Who doesn't love Cole Beasley? Oh, yeah, there's a whole bunch of people on Twitter that don't like Cole Beasley. or at least seemingly don't like Cole Beasley, who have all forgotten about Cole Beasley since all this like other stuff have happened. Stadium information, practices have started. Josh Allen now signs a $300 million or $258 million contract, 300 total. Cole Beasley turns around to the crowd, grabs something to throw into it, and every single hand in front of me went up. And it was like immediately everybody loved Cole Beasley again. So I'll digress off of that. I'm just kind of keeping you guys in the mindset that like people don't really hate Cole Beasley, they just want to. So getting back to the wide receivers, no Emmanuel Sanders, no Cole Beasley. The starting guys, Stephon Diggs does whatever Stephon Diggs wants to do on a football field. I already came out a couple shows ago and I said that I don't think from a projection standpoint that Stephon Diggs is going to have the same year that he had in 2020, meaning I thought he was going to not regress. Regress is the wrong number. I just think the ball's going to go around. However, this kid just does what he wants to do on a football field. And he sets defensive backs up and he makes them look silly. So you've got him. I think Cole Beasley gets his 1,000 yards this season. Gabe Davis is going to be Gabe Davis. I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to bring maturity and Super Bowl experience to that room, to that wide receiver room. And then what do we got? What's after that, right? That's the real question. So Jake Kumaro, he looked good. I'm not going to lie. Everybody's hyped about Jake Kumaro. He flashes, man, when he's on the football field. And I don't understand. He flashes to me to the point that I don't understand why he was on a practice squad or has been on practice squads his whole entire career. I don't get it. He had 3 great catches. He people say dropped. He did not drop a ball. A ball was thrown. It was over his shoulder. He stretched out forward. It tipped off of his hand. He couldn't haul it in. I wouldn't fault him at all. I mean, it's a ball that a TV announcer would say, oh, that's a ball you got to catch. And if you're down by 10 points, he's right. You got to catch it. But if you're up by 12, it's just an incomplete pass. He looked good. The reality is all the wide receivers on this football team, for the most part, look good. You know, when you see a guy like Isaiah Hodgins out there, who I'm rooting a lot for Isaiah Hodgins. He has a different body structure and a different body type than any other wide receiver on that football team. He is literally 2 inches taller, helmet-wise, 3 inches taller than every other wide receiver on this football team. He brings a different skill set to this team that the Bills probably need. Tanner Gentry looked good. Stevenson didn't look bad. Like every wide receiver, as you go down the list, looked incredible. So when you to finish the question, Diggs, right? Emmanuel Sanders, Gabe Davis, Cole Beasley. You got to think Isaiah McKenzie is a lock to make this football team. He's not going to get cut. He played well. He didn't fumble a single punt. There weren't many punts to begin with. Josh Allen basically wrecked that whole thing. The whole offense did. The offense, by and large, other than the second team offense, played very well on Saturday. They had to fabricate, or they had to make up opportunities to punt. Otherwise, they wouldn't have punted for the most part. McKenzie's making this football team. So then you've got 6 and 7. Who's number 6? I don't know, Brian, that I'm confident enough at this point to answer that question of who number 6 is. I don't know what the answer is. I legit don't know who the answer is. It's going to be a battle between Kumaro and Hodgins for that 6th spot. And if the Bills keep 7, then I think Hodgins makes the roster and Stevenson goes to the practice squad. If they keep 6, it's probably Kumaro at this point. He's probably ahead of Hodgins. I would tell you this. There was probably some expectation that in an open practice like that there were some people in the crowd that weren't necessarily Bills fans, that may be working for other franchises, because that's what football teams do. They go to other teams' open practices in preseason to scout, right? To see what they're running, to see what they're doing, right? I would say that the second team offense showcased Kumaro a little bit more so than Hodgins. And we also know, and I'm not really a conspiracy theory guy, but we all know that Aaron Rodgers covets Jake Kumaro on his football team. If they keep 6, it's going to be hard to keep Kumaro off this roster. If they keep 7, it's probably Hodgins. And I would not be surprised to see Kumaro moved, for a player, if that helps. Daniel Gowris, welcome into the show. Thank you for the super chat. Who are the O-line starters? How was the left tackle doing? So I believe that Spencer Brown was the offensive left tackle. He was the starting left tackle for the first team. He did very, very well. He actually used his size well against specifically Greg Rousseau and some of the other guys. But I think left to right, if I'm not mistaken, it was Rousseau, Bucker, and then Morse, and then Cody Ford was playing right guard. And then I want to say it was Doyle on the right side at right tackle. I don't want to say it was that every single time they were shuffling guys out. I'm going to be honest with you. It's tough at times because there's 93 players out there, and it gets hectic after a while when you're just basically not taking notes and just kind of watching what's going on. But it's not the starting offensive line that was out there is not the starting offensive line that's going to be, or is the, what is the word I'm looking for? It's not the starting offensive line that the Bills want. I would say this: Josh Allen ran and broke the pocket a little bit, had to. But the amazing thing about this kid that we have until 2028 or through the 2028 season is that's when he's at his best, is when he's running out of the pocket. I mean, he's at the point where teams don't want him outside the pocket. They want to keep him in the pocket. And that defensive line they were doing well. The first team defensive line was doing well. They were getting through. Josh Allen was just doing whatever Josh Allen wanted to do, which was causing a problem. Back to my notes. Good questions. Thank you for the super chats. You guys are awesome. Jump on that like button. Got 25 in here. We can definitely get more than 25 going. Jump on that like button. The run game looked rough. The run game still looks rough. Zach Moss took almost all the first team reps. Again, the offensive line was not complete. Dawkins and Williams was out. I would dare to say Cody Ford is not a lock. He's not going to be playing left guard. We already know that because Brian Dable said that he's not playing left guard. Oh, you know what? I said, I'm sorry. I said Butker was playing. I'm wrong. Butker was not the starting left guard. It was Feliciano. I apologize. So backing up. It was Spencer Brown, I believe, Feliciano, Morse. I could be wrong about this. And then it was Cody Ford and Doyle. I think that's who it was. But Cody Ford is not a lock on this football team as far as playing right guard. This offensive line still might be a little bit in flux. It'll be interesting to see how it kind of pans out. But the O-line is not complete. I would say that they've not necessarily found a rhythm, and the run game still looks like it's struggling a bit. The second team offense also did not look good. The second team defense looked much better against the second team offense than the first team defense did against the first team offense. However, the second team offense doesn't have a guy named Josh Allen on their football team or on that squad. Trubisky looked, I don't want to say he looked lost, but he looked like he was swimming a bit, right? Does that make sense? Like he looked like he was, I saw him staring down at his wristband quite a bit when other people were on the field, as far as other teams were on the field. He missed some completions. He missed some easy throws. He just struggled. He looked like he's new to the system, which maybe that's to be expected. Maybe, if something were to happen, God forbid, to Josh Allen, week 6, week 7, week 8, he's much more into where he's more reading and reacting versus kind of forcing stuff. Trubisky just didn't look good. For instance, there was one play in particular. Trubisky was flushed to his right, and he's running out to his right. And it was basically the typical Josh Allen play that we see all the time. Josh Allen's running out to his right. He finds a guy like on the border, on the boundary, fires the ball in there, Beasley or Gabe Davis, and the guy toe taps the line, and it's a first down. Trubisky had that same exact setup. He's flushed out. He runs to his right. He's got defenders chasing him. It was coming at me. The play was coming at me. So he was throwing at me on where I was sitting in section 133. And literally I thought for sure he was going to do the exact same thing Josh Allen did. However, he chucked the ball 3-4 yards over the head of the receiver out of bounds. So basically he ran to his right and threw it out of bounds because he either didn't trust his receiver or he didn't trust his arm, which is something we don't see from Josh Allen. Trubisky just didn't look sharp in the second team. And I would be honest with you, at this point in time, there's probably a wider gap growing between Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. And who's catching up in that conversation is probably Antonio Williams. Antonio Williams had one run. He was playing with the third team a little bit. And he had one run in particular where he broke out to his left, and then basically for a brief second, a zone hole opened up, and he cut back to his right, and it was a great read, like the vision that he had on it, and he darted and took off. I think he scored, or he really got close to scoring on the play. It was incredible. Got a super sticker. I don't know what that means. Vlad sends us a super sticker. Appreciate it. I think it said I'm a fan. It does. Number one fan. Vlad, you are, man. You're a number fan. You're I appreciate you being a part of this show. I appreciate everybody being a part of this show. Everybody. Jake Fromm, just an observation. Jake Fromm was getting not first team reps. He was getting first reps on the third team over Davis Webb. Webb looked good, though. He's got a lot of zip on his ball. He's not a bad football player. I didn't think Fromm necessarily looked bad either. It'll be interesting to see how that battle kind of plays out and where that ends up. Matt Breida looked okay. That's funny. Chris Jenke literally just asked, how did Jake from State Farm look? Anything noticeable? Nothing noticeable. He's got some zip on his ball. Similar situation. I mean, I remember going to training camps and watching JP Lossman. I remember going to training camps and watching Trent Edwards. I remember going to training camps and watching E.G. Manuel. I remember going to training camps and watching these guys and being like, these guys are good. Like, I don't know what the problem is. I don't know why the media in town is hating on these guys so much. Why are the beat reporters talking about how much these guys suck? And then you put a guy out on the football field like Josh Allen, and everybody looks just totally different. It's like, oh, that guy's the starting quarterback, and everybody else is kind of like in the mix. Fromm didn't look bad. Davis Webb didn't look bad. Breida looked okay. A guy that flashed on the football field was Tyler Matakevich. I want to take you back to the Dolphins game, the last football game of the season against the Dolphins last year. And Tyler came in the second half, and he played backup linebacker. This kid, to me, is making an argument and has a conversation to be in the linebacker room going, guys, I know that I'm a special teams ace. However, I can play linebacker. If somebody's injured, put me in. He had an incredible interception in practice. The dude is a ball of energy and passion when he's on the football field. He reminds me of Dane Jackson when Jackson gets on the field. Jackson gets on the field, the ball comes, somehow the ball finds him, and he makes a play. Matakevich is the same way. AK Cash Super Chat asks me, how did tight end 49 look? Tight end 49, help me out here. Reggie Gilliam is 41. Reggie Gilliam played fullback pretty much the whole entire game. As far as the other ones, Sweeney dropped an easy pass. Dawson looked pretty good. He looked all right. And then Hollister made a pretty good catch, a catch he had to stretch out for, which I was surprised he caught it. If I had to judge off of one practice between the three of them, it's going to be Hollister, which is, I know, something that we don't all want to hear, but I love Dawson Knox. Jacob Hollister just looks like he can be the guy. That's what I missed. All right. Gotcha. Tremaine Edmonds, 49. Everybody listening to this right now, like on a podcast, like, no, he means Tremaine Edmonds. I don't remember seeing a lot of Tremaine. It doesn't mean he played bad. It doesn't mean he played good. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that I don't remember seeing him or Milano. So if I had to make a note to myself, and somebody else might disagree because they may have been focusing on Milano and Tremaine Edmonds, I just wasn't necessarily paying attention to Tremaine Edmonds, and I don't remember him necessarily flashing. So, but yeah, for all intents and purposes, he's going to be obviously good. We're hoping to see him. He needs to take the step that we're all expecting him to take this year. Vlad is basically running me right to where I want to go. How was the new punter? I'm going to start with Bass. And I don't know how many of you are old as me and remember the old Bass-O-Matic SNL commercials or best SNL skits, but that kid looked good. In warm-ups, he was just booting the ball. It was incredible. I don't know that he missed one. From when I was, he may have missed one and I missed it. Chris Jenke asked the same question. How did Bass look? I've heard good things. Well, you'll continue to hear good things. Brendan McCauley asks me if I'll be going to the home opener with the Fanatic squad. Jay Spence the King and I are going to be set up in Hammer's with doing some giveaways and doing some stuff like that. We will actually be there with the Rumblings crew and some other people. So look for Jay Spencer King and myself for the home opener tailgating in Hammer's Lot. We've already got a spot reserved. Tyler Bass looked incredible. Hawk looked incredible. The problem was the first team offense and even the third team offense wasn't really giving them a chance to punt. They weren't doing a very good job of giving them punting situations. But special teams, it looks like we're going to be okay. The big question is going to be kick returner, punt returner, right? And right now it seems like Isaiah McKenzie has a stranglehold on that. I remember Stevenson dropping but recovering one punt. Outside of that, I don't remember recalling a single punt getting dropped. But there weren't a whole lot of them either. But at this point in time, the confidence, when you see Isaiah McKenzie on the football field right now, he literally looks like he's just beaming with confidence. If he can keep that confidence up, I believe he not only gets the position, owns the position, potentially is re-signed next year in that position as a contributing wide receiver. He was just oozing confidence on the football field. And not only at wide receiver, but also at punt returning. It was just incredible to see. Brian Bowers asks, same thing as last year. Didn't Bajorquez had the least amount of punts last year? Yes, Bajorquez punted, I think, a league least in the NFL last year for the Buffalo Bills. How did the defense look as a whole? Chris Jenke asks. They looked okay. Again, it was hard to tell because on the first team, Josh Allen was literally just having his way with them, even though they were making plays and doing and getting and beating their blocks and getting off their blockers. Josh Allen was just making plays. The second team offense did not look as good. They punted the most. They punted, I think, every time but once, whereas Josh Allen, I think, only had to punt once. And then the third team offense also looked very good against the third team defense. So, yeah, pretty good stuff. If you guys have any more camp questions, please feel free to ask me. Don't be afraid to jump in. Don't be afraid to super chat me. Get my attention. I'm going to move on now to cut down dates. But if you have a camp question, feel free to jump in and ask it. Cut down dates. August 17th, the Buffalo Bills have to cut down from 93 to 85 players, which isn't a big deal. 8. Except for when you start thinking about, well, who's the 8 that they're going to lose? Well, they've got 12 wide receivers on this roster. They've got a plethora of linebackers. They've got a little bit of depth at defensive end. They've got guys on this team like Bobby Hart. I would expect Bobby Hart to be one of those first 8 guys to be gone. Jay Spencer King asks, how did Zach Moss look? I would tell you he looked like he looked last year. So however you want to translate that, he looked a lot like he looked last year. So whether that means he's not getting holes, whether that means that the offensive line is not executing the blocking schemes properly, whether that means that the defensive line is going to be possibly good this year against the run, it just wasn't super duper productive. Dave Allen, I like your energy, bro. Only half of us like the video. Let's get likes in here for the voice and grow rumblings. Yeah, jump on that like button. 29 of you. Got a whole bunch of you up in here watching this thing. Jump in here and like this thing. Get our metrics up for us. Bobby Hart, getting back to what I was saying about cut down date. Bobby Hart might be one of the very first guys cut. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't know that he has had a good showing yet. August 24th, the Bills have to cut down to 80 players. So they're going to lose another 5 guys. 5. And then the big day is August 31st. August 31st, the Buffalo Bills have to cut down from 80 to 53 players, and that is literally when we're going to have some broken hearts in Bills Mafia. There's going to be a number of you with Bills jerseys that you're not going to get to properly wear again because your guy just got cut. I'm not necessarily going to speculate who it is, but you've got to understand that the Buffalo Bills have a numbers problem, I should say, at offensive line, defensive line, and wide receiver. They've got depth, crazy depth at defensive line. They've got crazy depth at wide receiver. And they've got a lot of guys at offensive line. I just don't know and I don't know if they're going to keep 9 or 10 offensive linemen. 8, 9, 10 defensive linemen? Are they going to keep 6, 7, 8 wide receivers? We just don't know. We just don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to and watching the Overreaction podcast brought to you by the Market Dominator on the Buffalo Rumblings Podcast Network. I'm your host, the voice of the Overreaction podcast. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. It's such an awesome privilege just having you guys hang with me. Like, for real. Like, this thing is going to be lit when the season starts, and we're doing this thing post-game. When this is a post-game show, this thing is going to be off the chain. I want to thank all of you for bringing it. Before I let you guys go, though, stick with me just for a minute. Don't hang up. I want to talk to you just about the schedule. So just for those of you that don't know yet, we have an incredible schedule coming for you this season. Buffalo Rumblings does. On Saturday nights, pregame, you're going to have the chop up with Jay Spence the King, and Sturls is going to be there. Kristen Kimmick is going to be there. And then they've got one other person. I can't remember exactly who. Also pregame on Saturday nights is going to be the Bills Mafia Time to Shine, which is a live call-in show with me. So Saturday nights pregame, probably 8 o'clock. You guys, I'm going to throw the invite to this show basically out to you guys, and you're going to be able to click on it. First come, first serve. And you guys are going to come in, give me your predictions, give me like who's going to have touchdowns, stars of the game, whatnot, how the game is going to end, and a score prediction. You're going to get to be on this thing live with me and have a conversation with me just about what your prediction is for the show. Sunday night, post game, this show, the Overreaction podcast, every single Sunday night is going to be this show. Monday night, every week, Monday night, the Off Tackle with John Fina show coming to you live on the Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. Be here with me and John Fina every single Monday night talking Buffalo Bills football at 9 o'clock. And then Tuesday night, Jay Spence the King show. The code of conduct is moving from Mondays to Tuesdays. So Tuesday night is going to be Jay Spence the King, code of conduct. As you know, Wednesday, the Hump Day Hotline, every single Wednesday, my guy, Jay Spence the King, and myself bring it to you and just have great conversations, great debates, great disagreements, all in love, because that is my best friend, every single Wednesday night. And then Friday night is the Food for Thought, the Nate Geary and Bruce Nolan show. So make sure you tune in to that as well. We got a lot of amazing content coming up for you guys this year. Do me a favor, jump on that like button one more time, or if you haven't yet, and also subscribe. But I appreciate you guys, fam. This was a lot of fun. I'm so thankful that just to have this opportunity. I'm thankful to be a part of Rumblings. I'm thankful to just get to talk to you guys, and just I say it all the time, how much I appreciate you guys and how much I want to meet you guys and how much I want to be connected to you guys. It's not fluff. I'm not saying it because it's not true. Literally, I'm looking forward to this year, this season, some tailgates, some games, some pregame party type stuff, whether it's on Friday nights or Saturday nights, connecting with guys like Richard Rush or Dave Thorpe or whoever. I'm just excited to connect with all of you guys. So I'm looking forward to this season. I'm looking forward to meet with you. Got a couple more weeks. Next week, Friday night. Next week, or I should say this week, Friday night, because it's Sunday. This week, Friday night, Buffalo Bills football live on the NFL Network. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Overreaction Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Miller. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We'll talk to you next week. Go Bills.